third-party content has been copied and communicated pursuant to Part 5A or 5B of the Copyright Act, unless indicated otherwise.
Here are the main terms that we'd like you to know. I think I'll preface all this by saying that these are very relativistic terms. They're not absolute, and they're relative to the stereotypic vertebrate, which is quite unlike humans. Humans and primates in general have nervous systems that really go around a bend. The bend being from the head down through the neck via the spinal cord. You can see in the picture of a human head, the brain is really facing forwards and the spinal cord goes downwards. In most vertebrates, it's not like that at all. Think of something like a crocodile or a snake. The brain is in alignment with the spinal cord. They go horizontally lengthwise. There's no bend. So these terms are a little bit tricky to apply to a human, paradoxically. So with that in mind, let's go through the directional terms. Firstly, dorsal versus ventral. Dorsal means back, ventral means belly. A good way to remember this is dorsal fin. So the dorsal fin on a shark or a dolphin is on its back. In relation to the brain, that would be on top of the brain. So if we're looking at the top of the brain, that's dorsal. The belly of the brain is ventral. But from the perspective of the spinal cord in a human, remember it bends around and goes downwards, the dorsal part would be on your back, and the ventral part would be literally the side of the spinal cord, that's your belly side. Medial versus lateral refers to the location of something relative to your axis of symmetry. Now you have one primary bilateral axis of symmetry, and it's the one that runs between your eyes all the way through down your body. You're mirror symmetric on either side. If an object is close to the center of that axis, we call it medial. So your nose is located medially on your face, in the middle of that axis. Your ears, on the other hand, are lateral. They're away from that center line. Anterior versus posterior, again tricky because of the way the nervous system bends around in a human. Anterior refers to the front end, so the frontal lobes of the brain are anterior structures. Posterior refers to the back end, so the occipital lobe of the brain would be posterior. Sagittal, coronal and horizontal are depicted on the bottom of this image. They refer to ways that you can slice an object, or planes along which you can view an object. So we've got the three at the bottom there. Let's go through those. Horizontal, shown on the left, the horizontal plane or horizontal section that's been used to produce this plane. That's like the top of your head's been removed and you're looking from above. That's the top of the head removed. The sagittal is where you've split along the midline, vertically downwards. So that's you've split the right brain from the left brain, and what you're seeing there is the right brain. The coronal is, in this case, you're looking at it front on, and it's like you've chopped off the face of a person. So the person's face is removed, and you're seeing a coronal or crown. Coronal literally means crown-like plane. Ipsilateral versus contralateral, we're not going to use those terms very often in the unit, maybe in the context of contralateral neglect or in the context of the spinal cord. Contralateral simply means opposite sides, crossing over. Why that's an important term is because most of our peripheral functions are controlled contralaterally. So, for example, the right hemisphere of the brain controls the left part of your body. The left hemisphere of your brain controls the right part of your body. So we are generally contralaterally wired. Ipsilateral means same side. And finally, proximal versus distal. Those terms are as used in normal conversations. Proximal means two things are nearby. Distal means they're far apart. How far? Well, it's a relative thing. If you're talking anatomically, it could be centimeters. If you're talking neurally, it could be millimeters or even microns. So the terms are very relativistic. So again, yeah, we expect you to know these terms, study them. They'll be associated with lots of other concepts as we progress through this unit.